Hello everyone, I'm Henry Wildberry and I am here in Berkeley, California with Therese Cools. Some of you may recognize her as she has been in a few videos of mine. The most notable video I believe at this point is the Velo Orange Polyvalent that we did a review of, or sort of a discussion about. And also a recent video that I posted of her and I taking a touring ride down to San Luis Obispo, California. Today we are going to be talking about the Rawland Cycles Raven. And before we do, I would like to introduce Therese. Please tell us how you got into cycling.
Okay, so I grew up in the suburban sprawl of Southern California, Riverside area. And I drove a lot. I was going to school and working. I found myself in my car a lot more than I would like to have been. So I decided to buy a bike. I went to the bike shop and the bike that was recommended to me was a Trek road bike. Not knowing anything about bikes, I bought it and I started using it to commute part-time and found that I enjoyed riding a bike. So then I started to ride it recreationally.
Excellent. So when you were first getting started, you started out as a more or less a commuter, and is that because you wanted to cut down on the amount of driving you were doing, or was it just because you wanted to be more efficient with your time and sort of fit exercise in to your daily routine?
A little bit of both. I think you put it well. I wanted to be in my car less, and now where I lived is not a bike-friendly place, and there's not much of there's a cycling culture, but not really bike commuting culture. So people kind of like, when you're riding your bike to work there, the experience I had was that people look at you strangely, and friends offer you rides because they think you're riding a bike to work because because there's something wrong. Maybe your car doesn't work or it broke down, and they're like, oh, I can give you a ride. And I say, no, it's okay. I actually want to be riding my bike. But yeah.
Yeah, our culture is kind of funny that way. We have sort of two classes of cyclists, it seems like. We have a very lower class of people who are underserved and underprivileged who ride bikes, and then you have the what's perceived as, anyway, the ultra privileged class who rides bikes. We don't really have sort of that middle ground. At least that's the perception, I think, in our culture. But in reality, there is a whole group, an entire demographic of riders who are not underserved and are not overserved. They're actually just middle class people that love riding bikes. Tell us then, how did you get involved in the Randonneuring club? Where did you get started, and why did you decide to do that?
The way I got into randonneuring is when I moved up to Berkeley. My brother-in-law, who is a veteran randonneur, he was doing a 200K, the Santa Rosa 200K, which is one of the flattest brevets you could do, and I asked him if he thought I could do it, and he said, yeah, sure, come on out and do it. So I did, and it ended up being way harder than I thought it was going to be because I just wasn't quite ready for it yet. I didn't have my bike legs for a ride of that length yet, so by the end I could barely stand. But it did instill in me a love of long-distance cycling, and that's how I got into randonneuring.
Yeah, so I think maybe that's a perfect segue into, can tell us what is randonneuring. I think some people watching this all automatically know, but not everyone knows what randonneuring is. Can you tell us, in your words, what is randonneuring?
Okay, so yes, in my words, randonneuring is self-supported long-distance cycling. It takes you to amazing places. You're riding very long distances. Anywhere from a 200K, which is around 125 miles, to 1,000 to 1,200K, which is 750 miles. So yes, there's a range. That's randonneuring.
Okay, so randonneuring is basically self-sufficient, self-supported riding, but it's generally done in either one continuous period where compare that to touring, for example. Like, what's the difference between randonneuring and just bike touring?
Okay, so yeah, bike tour. I mean, randonneuring is self-supported, and it's not like a real strict sport, but there are rules. There are rules. You have a certain time limit that you have to finish this this brevet, and it's called a brevet. One of the rides is called a brevet. You have a time limit within which you have to finish this ride. So randonneuring usually most rides involve riding straight through. You will stop a couple times to maybe get lunch. You don't have to. Some people carry all their food in their bag and just ride straight through without stopping. You have to get a couple of receipts on your ride just to show that you did the route. The really long ones, like the 600 to 1200, there is the option to sleep for a few hours a couple places, so there's that option. But other than that, you're doing it all within a certain time frame and following a specific route.
And so the time frames, the way they're set, it would seem to me that if you're trying to keep in the spirit of self-supported long distance riding, that the time frames are generous enough so that you're not pushing yourself so deep that you are taking potential risks of running stoplights or breaking laws to try to keep into the time frame.
You are bound by an oath to follow the rules of the road, be safe. You're required to, if you roll into the end of the ride at night, you're required to have ankle bands and some sort of reflective vest or something on top to show that you're riding safe on the road, to keep yourself and motorists safe.
I want to segue from road riding, which is what most randonneuring events are, into off-road riding, which is what the Ravn really provides you with. So to segue into that, tell us why or how you got into being more interested in, taking your riding from the road to off-road riding.
Okay, so I was doing a number of rando rides for a couple years. The routes that are planned are very beautiful and well thought out, but they are routes that are repeated every year. Once you start to gain self-sufficiency on your bike and really get a sense of the possibilities of exploration on your bike, then I think you start to realize that, hey, maybe I want to actually go out and explore more on my own. And then you start to realize that, hey, if I get off the road, then there will be less traffic. You can really explore backcountry. And before I go further, I would like to acknowledge those people that introduced me to randonneuring. I didn't discover all these things on my own. It takes other people that did a lot of work and are willing to share the knowledge with you and the experience with you to do that. So thank you.
What your Ravn is more of a touring bike on the road, on the dirt.
So I had my Trek road bike still. I had a Cogswell that I had bought for my Randonneur bike, pretty light, but it only had so much tire clearance, and it wasn't necessarily set up for the dirt or for touring. I guess I set it up for that, but it wasn't ideal. However, I was using that. So I did a lot of off-road touring with my Cogswell, but it just did not serve the purpose that I needed it.
So what is what's the Cogswell?
It's a road bike. It's a road Randonneur.
It's a road randonneuring bike that you were using.
That I was
you were trying to incorporate it into your off-road riding.
Yeah. I was crashing. I was uncomfortable. I mean, the crashing part hasn't changed really. But I was crashing. I was uncomfortable. But I was still having fun because I knew that this is what I want to do. And then I got the Velo Orange, and then I started to use the Velo Orange because the Velo Orange has wider tire clearance, so it helped a little bit better. So I have a friend that had that bought the Ravn right when it came out. Super excited about this bike, about the specs of this bike and what its purpose was. And so he rode it for a while, and he discovered that the frame just felt too small. He could not get comfortable on it. So he offered for me to buy it from him. We set it up 650B wheels. The standover height feels fine. So once it was all set up, we discovered that it was actually a great fit for me.
And we've got the Rawland out. What? So you're saying you're gonna let me give this a test ride? Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yes, I think it's important that you give it a test ride,
so that I can so I can instruct my viewers what it's like to be on this bike. But the thing is I kind of wanted to film you riding it.
We can do both.
That way.
You can switch off.
we can switch off. Okay, so Therese and I are gonna take a quick ride over to the coffee shop. We're gonna go to Timeless Cafe. But what I want to mention is, and the reason I'm talking is, I'm using the, I've got a new microphone on here, so I want to show you what that looks like. So this is kind of a test ride of with the new microphone, so we'll see how it works out. This is the new Ceremonic mic. I've not tried it yet in the wind, but you can see how small and discreet it is compared to the Rode microphone, which goes on the top. So the rest of this video will be with this microphone, so let's give it a try. So Therese is gonna let me ride her bike and give it a little spin, so we need to raise the saddle a little bit on this one, and I need to lower the saddle. She's gonna ride my touring bike. With all of her randonneuring experience, she's gonna be able to ride my bike and tell me how it compares to her rando bike.
It's going to be a little tricky for me because there are those who are clipped in when they ride, and then there are those of us who ride toe clips and platform pedals, no matter what the distance is.
Well, let's get the saddle set. That way I can ride your bike and you can ride my bike. All right, well, we're on the Ravn. This is the Ravn. Got the saddle set pretty well. It's definitely different riding more upright. It's got the upright handlebars, disc brakes, and a Brooks saddle, and a basket on the front to carry all your stuff, all your supplies. Therese is back there trying to get my saddle hide set on my bike. So she'll be here in a minute. We're gonna go over to a cafe called Timeless Coffee in Berkeley, California. I'm gonna ride the Ravn, and I'm gonna be able to give you my feedback. But already I can tell you right now, definitely feels flexible, more flexible than my touring bike. That's my first observation. I'm curious how the sound in this bike's gonna sound in the wind.
Yeah. So the only thing I see that I being something to adjust to is I find it hard to brake. The hoods with the, so I have to be in the drops to brake. I don't have to, but I can't get the braking power I want from the hood.
Those are definitely hard brakes, so yeah, probably good to maybe do a few practice trials before we get into traffic.
Yes, I'm not going to crash your bike today.
Yeah, well, I'm more concerned about your safety than the bike.
Timeless in Piedmont, California.
So let's see. What do we need to know about the bike, Therese?
We need to know the details, the specs on it, and the way I set it up that supports the kind of riding style that I do with it, which is dirt rando touring riding.
Well, we're back now, Therese.
This is a dirt rando bike, all-road enduro bike, meant to go fast on the road because it's light. It's got light tubing, triple-butted light tubing, and it's meant to go fast on the road as well as the dirt, and it's meant to feel like you're floating when you ride it. In order to enhance that feel, I've set it up a certain way. I have Velo Orange Postino bars that help you, that put you more upright and make you feel comfortable as you're riding. They're also positioned in such a way that enable you to go fast. So Velo Orange says. And let's see, it's got disc brakes for more braking power on the dirt. It has 650B wheels, which I've put the widest tires that this frame clears on the front and the back. On the front we have the Surly Extraterrestrial, 2.5 size, and it is a very fast rolling road tire, yet it provides grip on the dirt. The rear, unfortunately, doesn't clear 2.5, and that's the only size that they make the Extraterrestrial in, so I compromised and got the only other, the next most fast rolling dirt tire you can get, as far as I could find, was the 2.25 Maxxis Icon, 2.25 being the largest tire it clears in the rear. So fortunately the tread on the back slows it down a little. It's more of a mountain bike tire, so right now as it's set up, it wouldn't be too fast on like a rando ride, but yeah, that's what it is. It has, I put the front rack I put on there is the Specialized pizza rack. Specialized came out with this rack. It's fairly lightweight, yet very durable rack that you can put a large front load on. I needed something that carried a lot of weight in the front because I take it on touring rides, multiple day touring rides, and I like to try to fit everything I can in that enormous basket and large size Sackville, hoping to fit everything in the front so that I don't have to put panniers on to make it an overall more comfortable, lighter, faster ride. It has other components on here are the Shimano shifters that are set up as, you can set them up either as friction or indexed. Right now they're friction. And we have the mountain bike gearing. The front has a 2840 on it. It used to be a triple, but I put it as a double and just put the Salsa chain guard on there to set it up as a double. And the rear has an 1140 range, so you can get pretty low gears on this tire, which is great for the steep dirt climbs. Let's see, we said it has mechanical disc brakes. Did we say that? We've got the flat platform pedals for comfort.
And that's sort of your preference
And
as far as riding style goes.
Yeah,
You
that's
platform
my
pedals?
personal preference. It may not always be the best, but it has worked for me so far for just long comfort touring ride, and which is nice. Then I don't have to carry the extra pair of shoes if I want to get off my bike and explore a little bit while I'm out touring.
I see you don't have fenders on here.
I don't have fenders. That's not to say that I'm not going to put fenders on there. So that is, yes, maybe next time you see this, if you see this bike again in the near future, it might have fenders on it.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's got a generator hub.
You got the generator?
Got the generator hub for all night riding.
Which is
Yes,
essential when you're going to be
Yes.
doing long bike touring, especially out in the wilderness, right?
Oh yeah.
Especially you want some
definitely.
lighting out there.
Yes, you do. And you never know what you might run into, what problems you might run into, so you want to be prepared for riding in the dark in case you have to.
Sweet.
It's triple butted to take off that extra material.
Awesome. And it's a welded frame.
It is welded, yes. No bloods. Because they want the least material that they can get on this frame. Okay, so it's got front and rear through axle. The rear spacing is 142.5. The derailleur hanger is replaceable.
Cool.
I must say, this is the first bike I've had with through axle, and I like the through axle. It makes it very easy to take these wheels off and on.
Does it?
It does. It's yes. There's not much struggling. I'm a fan of the through axle.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I like it. Do you have much experience with the through axle, Jeremy?
No.
I
did have it on one bike, on
Yeah.
my mountain bike, on the
Yeah.
front. I've
Okay.
never had it. I've always had quick release on the back.
I like it on the rear too. Yeah,
Interesting. Okay.
it's nice. The Rawland named this bike the Ravn, and I was mispronouncing it for a while. I was calling it Raven, but according to Rawland, it is pronounced Ravn because Ravn is the Viking name for raven.